If you had to pick, would you rather live in a magical fantasy universe, like Lord of the Rings, or live in an advanced technological universe? Think Star Trek, Warhammer, etc. And why? I'll take the fully automated luxury gay space communism over a feudal race war any day. In Star Trek you can holodeck your way into a fantasy setting anyway, with all the perks of living under sci-fi socialist utopia when you're done fucking elves or whatever. Star Trek. No hesitation. A post-scarcity world where humans live mostly in peace with other species and work is not necessary. That's a dream. Whatever era has good hygiene practices, indoor plumbing, hot water on demand and a decent medical system. Lord of the Rings. I want to be a hobbit and live a quiet, peaceful life. Sci-fi. Not Warhammer. Though. Fantasy worlds are not nice to plebs. Every place is danger. At least in D&D. Sci-fi universe. There is a chance of it improving. Magical universes like Lord of the Rings tend to never move forward. Technology is always the same. Slight improvements or adjustments, but that's is. Chances are you're going to be born a peasant in either. A sci-fi universe doesn't promise it will be good, but hints as can get better. Definitely Star Trek. Because of the holodeck and the matter thingy that makes anything you want. I've never actually seen an episode, but on second thought, I wouldn't mind hanging out in the Shire, eating tons of food and banging shorties all day. Tough to live in. Probably technology BC that is automated ready life. That said, I enjoy getting into fantasy things way easier than science fiction. Not Warhammer, but otherwise sci-fi. In fantasy worlds most characters are not wizards or have magic at all. So that means just regular medieval life plus some asshole wizard can turn you into piece of shit with antlers just for fun. In most sci-fi the technology is fairly omnipresent. While I'd love to have magic powers, I'd probably pick the Star Trek type universe. Humans surviving long enough to advance that much I would need to see with my eyes to believe possible. However, immortality in a magical universe is very tempting. I'll go for the Hobbit life, as long as I never have to leave the Shire. Space future every time. The good tech futures are better than the good magic dark ages. And the bad tech futures are better than the bad magic dark ages. Sure, I'd rather be in a Conan story than a 40k story. But I'll take Shadowrun over D&D and I'll take Star Trek over Lord of the Rings. Get me those nanobots and lasers and shit. Keep your wizards and mithril. Sci-fi. Particularly something like the Shadowrun tabletop game because I'd get both magic and hypertech. The tech in Star Trek is basically magic. Spells like illusion, teleportation, healing, sleep and damage spells etc. They can even create whatever you can think of out of thin air. What do you want to do with magic that you can't with such tech? Technology, if advanced enough, may eventually become indistinguishable from magic. Advanced tech. I can have all the benefits of future tech and advances in medicine and use technology to enjoy the fantasy of shit like Lot R and D&D. In an advanced technological universe because think would it be cool to have lightsabers and flying cars. I like magical fantasy because I grew up with it and play a lot of D&D. I never knew I needed luxury gay space communism, but now I need that in my life. That could be true. I was just using those for examples so you could say like Rick and Morty. Regardless though each has problems. Like orcs. or Klingons, etc. Absolutely. Especially since I'm not very ambitious. Star Trek is the best fictional world in which to be kind of a sluggard. Bernie Sanders would blow his load when he saw the housing, healthcare and tolerance they've got. I could just get by in my allotment of the infinite resources and spend all my time writing bad poetry, hiking in the pristine nature preserves and playing weird sports at the YMCA. That's fair, but the advanced also have Klingon and stuff, haha. I agree, super tech would be awesome, but magic would be amazing. Better hope it's the movie version. Saruman takes over the Shire in the books. Nah, I'd wanna be a wizard. Hobbits are awesome, but I wanna summon demons and lightning. That's what I'm thinking. Every universe has problems. Orcs, Klingons, being an Imperium slave. Well, I was just using that as an example. The mind's the limit. You could also do Rick and Morty. Or anything else. What I was thinking is that each option will end up having problems. For example, orcs. Or Klingons. Well, I think about it as like each one has problems, like Warhammer. You could be a slave. Or in Lord of the Rings. Orcs. Well, I was thinking you could pick your situation. So you could go to a universe where everyone has and can get magic. Well, I was just using that as an example. Well, I was thinking you'd get to choose any universe. You could pick one where everyone has magic. Or one where it's like Star Trek but no Klingons. Legolas probably wouldn't want to bang you. Though. The Tolkien elves do the nasties only with their one partner. And only when they want to make a child. Never else. Warhammer 40k is like, what if we had infinite technology but only used it to make the world worse? I'd pick Star Trek's world over nearly any fantasy. But Warhammer 40k is dead last in any major fictional universe I'd want to actually visit. It's the most dystopic dystopia to ever topia. Magic would only be amazing if it were novel. If it were the norm. It would just be like how we see science. Sci-fi is dangerous too. But not everywhere. As most inhabited planets are tamed. Fantasy. There is a dragon turtle at the coast, either you pay it or it eats you. Yee, I like being a trader. We have problems already, nothing new there. Gimme that FTL drive. Yeah. Well, you could make a universe where Warhammer tech exists but it's not all dark and evil. Well, what I was thinking was you could customize it, so Final Fantasy, but no enemies. If it's safe world either way and fantasy has functioning plumbing, it'd go fantasy. Sure. Or send FTL rocks into all of their homeworlds. Whatever. Problems get easier with that kind of tech. Edit. Actually. Better than rocks. With an FTL drive you could park a drone inside the event horizon of a black hole and have it act as an undetectable tug, slowly altering the path of the black hole onto a collision course with their homeworld. That way you have plausible deniability. And by the time anyone notices a problem, it's way past too late to do anything about it.